Welcome into the Super Bowl winning champion Kansas City Chiefs report. I am Harrison Graham, and coming up on today's show, hey, we're on to the offseason, and I've got a 5-step offseason plan for the Chiefs to repeat as Super Bowl champs next year. So without wasting any time, let's go ahead and jump on in here. Plan number one, or step number one. Trade for DeAndre Hopkins. Could you imagine if Brett Veach pulled the trigger on a Hopkins trade? He's still really good, man. Like he's a number one receiver. I know he had the suspension. He's had some minor injury stuff the last couple of years, but he's still really good. I mean, you look at 2020, that he really elevated Kyler Murray that year to playing at a high level in Arizona. He's on the wrong side of 30, so I don't think it would cost you a first-round pick. But you plug him in here, obviously in this scenario, you would let Juju Smith-Schuster walk in free agency. I think McCole Hardman leaves anyway, but you could go Hopkins, MVS, Tony, Sky Moore, and then potentially like Justin Watson as your number 5. With Travis Kelce at tight end. That's a pretty fun group if you ask me. So, listen, let Juju walk, let him make his money because if I'm him, I'm looking to cash in. Go trade for DeAndre Hopkins, whose cap hit would be less than $20 million if you trade for him, and you could even lower that number if you signed him to an extension. So, I like the idea. I think him leaving Arizona is a very good possibility, and Brett Veach, he's always looking to make moves. 11 draft picks to work with. I could definitely see him being interested. Pick an option. Would you rather trade for Hopkins, type DH, or re-sign Juju, type JS? Let me know down in the comments below. Obviously, it would depend on how much you have to give up for Hopkins, but if you could get him without giving up a first, I would probably go that route. DH for trading for Hopkins, or JS for signing Juju Smith-Schuster. Step number 2, tag Orlando Brown again, at least at first. But I think in general that might still be the best route. Orlando Brown kind of did what he did last year. First half of the season, you were like, he doesn't look great in this scheme. Then he played a lot better in the second half, and his PFF grades end up looking pretty good by the end of the year. And, all in all, it was a pretty solid season. Now, the reason I would tag him again is you can have him for less than $20 million against the cap next year. That's not bad for a high-level starting tackle. And if he's looking to reset the market, I still don't know if I would give him reset the market money. I still think there's enough questions there and consistency issues where I don't know if I'm giving him $25 million per year when I can tag him for 19.9. I mean, that's a pretty appealing option if you're Brett Veach. Now, shout out to Orlando Brown. He tweeted out after the Super Bowl, 0 sacks, put it on an effing T-shirt. We had to star it out there as he actually typed it out. But listen, I said it before the Super Bowl. This was a put-up or shut-up game for Orlando Brown against that Eagles front, and he delivered. He delivered at a very high level. He was great in the Super Bowl. He's still flawed at times. I think that, this scheme, still challenges him a bit compared to that power running game that he ran in Baltimore, but he got better and better throughout the year. Same thing he kind of did last year. If he was just a little more consistent, I'd be more comfortable giving him, that 4-year, $100 million type of deal, but I still want to keep him around. That's why I'd probably tag him, and if a long-term deal can't be reached, well, then you got him for $19.9 million, and you can decide what you want to do next off season. Now, speaking of the Super Bowl, where Orlando Brown helped bring a championship to Kansas City, you can get your Super Bowl championship gear with our partners Fanatics. Go to our link below, chatsports.com/ChiefsSB. That is chatsports.com/ChiefsSB. We got hats, we got hoodies, we got T-shirts, all kinds of gear available for you guys. This is the same hat, by the way, that Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes were rocking in postgame, and several other players as well. So you want to go check that out. Hoodies are sweet. T-shirts are sick. Chatsports.com/ChiefsSB. That link will be in the comments and in the description. Go pick up your Chiefs Super Bowl championship gear today by clicking our link in the description. Step number 3, restructure Patrick Mahomes deal. His current cap hit for next year is $49.29 million. Obviously a lot. You can get it down to $31.49 though, which for what he does is super cheap. I mean, even $49.29 for what he does isn't that bad, but obviously you want to lower that hit, give you more flexibility in free agency. Restructure saves almost $18 million. That feels like a no-brainer to me. And I don't believe they restructured last offseason, which kind of gives you more flexibility to do it this year, because if you do it literally every single year, then eventually you're just going to get hit with this huge number, but obviously you worry about later. Restructure now, save the money. $18 million, you can sign multiple starters with that type of money. And For example, say you want to keep Juju Smith-Schuster and you're strapped for cash, that restructure helps you do that. There's no doubt about it. Their current projected cap space, $11 million. That's actually pretty decent for a team like the Chiefs. There's a bunch of teams with, like the Chargers, they're like negative $25 million. They got to make moves to clear out cap space. Chiefs are in the positive. They're already over. They're at $11 million. Now, if you franchise tag Orlando Brown, that gets you to about negative $9 million. So, restructuring Mahomes makes sense, and I definitely think that will be in the works for the Chiefs this offseason. Now, don't miss out. Nonstop Chiefs news, rumors, trade buzz, free agency, draft coverage all offseason long. 2022 season may be over, but the road to Super Bowl 58 starts today. So subscribe, turn on your notifications. That way you never miss a video here on the Chiefs Report. Step number 4, Chris Jones contract extension. He's got 1 year left on his deal. And after the season he just had, where he was just a menace, I think it's kind of disrespectful that he did not get a single Defensive Player of the Year vote. But that's neither here nor there. 15.5 sacks, 17 tackles for loss, 29 QB hits. He was huge in the AFC Championship game. Not as good in the Super Bowl, but with the turf condition, with the field conditions, that really favored the offensive line. Neither defensive line really was able to get much pressure on the quarterbacks. A Jones extension would lower his cap hit next year as well, which it's over $20 million right now. Now, Aaron Donald got $31 million per year on a new deal. Chris Jones could ask for that, legitimately. He could. Now, do they find some kind of compromise where he settles at like $25, $26 million? I view Chris Jones as a Chiefs player for life. Like, I think he wants to be in KC. I think they want him here. He makes this defense go. So I would sign him to like 4 years, $110 million, $25 to $27 million, and just live with it because he is that dominant of a defensive presence, and you can lower that cap and kind of push some money down the road if you choose to do so. Now, what would you do? Should Kansas City sign Chris Jones to a contract extension? Type Y for yes, or type in for no. Let next year play out and figure out 2024 and beyond later. I would sign him to an extension, send that message that I want to keep him in Kansas City for the foreseeable future. Step number 5, I would re-sign Jerick McKinnon and cut Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Edwards-Helaire has 1 year left on his deal. We'll talk about him in a second. The Pacheco-McKinnon duo just works, man. It does. It's not perfect. The AFC Championship game, they struggled to run the football, but they ran the ball really well in the Super Bowl, both of them. They can both catch the ball. I think they're a good 1-2 punch. McKinnon doesn't look like a guy who's, slowing down for his, 29, 30 years old. Remember, he missed a couple years with injury, so he doesn't have a ton of mileage. Like, he could play until he's 32, 33, I think. This pairing works. I would keep it in place next year. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire got activated to the active roster, but was inactive in the Super Bowl. I mean, Ronald Jones was RB3. I just think the Edwards-Helaire experiment's over. I mean, they might keep him on the roster because cutting him only saves $1 million, so it's not that big of a difference. But to me, he's RB3 at best. You might as well cut him, save the $1 million, and go draft a running back in the 6th round that can be RB3. Like, I just don't. I don't think that you need Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Probably better for him to start get an opportunity elsewhere anyway. But I think the Pacheco-McKinnon pairing, I like it. Pacheco might be a star in this offense moving forward. I mean, he is a violent runner, and I say that in a positive way. I mean, he is just so fun to watch. So bring McKinnon back as your RB2. He's great in pass protection. He catches the ball well. He can spell Pacheco, and then you're good to go. Get rid of CEH. That has just been a failed first-round pick. It happens. That's life as a GM in the NFL. All right, there you go. My offseason plan for Kansas City to have a chance to repeat as Super Bowl champions. Name one move that you think the Chiefs should make this offseason. Maybe it's something I'm not thinking about. Let me know. It could be a signing. It could be a draft pick. It could be a trade. It could be an internal decision. It could be a coaching thing. Let me know what you would do this offseason for the Chiefs to have a chance to get back to Super Bowl 58.